What really happened in that moment when tears fell? Silence took over, and one unexpected embrace changed everything. Why did Jungkook finally break down? And what truth was he holding back for so long? And perhaps the biggest question that left millions stunned: why did Taehyung respond in a way no one saw coming? If you think you've seen emotional moments before, this one might just change everything you thought you knew. Stay with this story until the end, because what unfolds isn't just shocking. It's deeply human, raw, and unforgettable. And before we dive in, don't forget to share your thoughts, like, and subscribe, because this is one moment that the entire army is still trying to process. The atmosphere was different from the very beginning. There was something unspoken lingering in the air, something that fans could feel even before anything visibly happened. Jungkook, often known for his composure and quiet strength, appeared unusually distant. His eyes carried a weight that words had not yet expressed, and his silence spoke louder than anything he could have said. Those who have followed him closely knew that this wasn't just another fleeting emotional moment. There was a story behind those eyes, a buildup of emotions that had been held back for far too long. As the moment unfolded, it became impossible to ignore the shift. Jungkook's breathing grew heavier, his gaze unfocused, as if he was lost somewhere between past memories and present reality. And then it happened, the tears. Not subtle, not hidden, but real, visible, and undeniable. It was the kind of crying that doesn't ask for attention but inevitably commands it. Fans watching could feel their hearts drop, sensing that this was more than exhaustion or temporary sadness. This was something deeper. The silence around him became deafening, as if time itself paused to witness what was happening. And then, after what felt like an eternity, Jungkook finally spoke. His voice, trembling yet determined, carried a vulnerability that cut straight through the hearts of everyone listening. He didn't need to say much. Every word he chose was heavy, deliberate, and filled with emotion. It was as though he was opening a door that had been locked for years, letting the world see a side of him that had always remained hidden. But what truly shocked everyone wasn't just Jungkook's confession. It was what happened next. Without hesitation, Jungkook stepped forward and embraced Taehyung. It wasn't a casual hug or a gesture of comfort you might expect between close friends. It was tight, almost desperate, as if he was holding on to something he feared losing. The kind of hug that speaks volumes without a single word. Fans watching couldn't hold back their emotions. Social media quickly flooded with reactions, many expressing disbelief, others overwhelmed with tears. And then came the moment no one could have predicted. Taehyung didn't respond immediately. For a brief, almost painful second, he stood still, his expression unreadable, his reaction delayed in a way that made the moment even more intense. It wasn't coldness, but it wasn't immediate warmth either. It was something in between, a pause that carried its own meaning. And that pause sparked countless questions. What was going through his mind? Why didn't he react right away? Was he shocked, overwhelmed, or something else entirely? When Taehyung finally moved, his response was subtle yet powerful. Instead of immediately returning the embrace with the same intensity, he gently placed his hand on Jungkook's back. It was a small gesture, but one filled with complexity. It wasn't the dramatic reaction fans might have expected, but it was real. And sometimes, reality is far more complicated than expectations. This unexpected response became the center of discussion. Some fans interpreted it as hesitation. Others saw it as a sign of deep emotional processing. Because the truth is, not every reaction is immediate when emotions run this deep. Sometimes, the most genuine responses take a moment to surface. As the embrace continued, something shifted. Taehyung's initial stillness gave way to a softer presence. His posture relaxed, and he slowly leaned into the moment. It was as if he had taken that brief pause to fully understand what was happening before allowing himself to respond completely. And when he did, it wasn't loud or dramatic, but it was meaningful. For many fans, this was the breaking point. Tears weren't just coming from Jungkook anymore. army around the world found themselves crying alongside them, feeling the weight of the moment through their screens. Because what they were witnessing wasn't scripted or polished. It was raw emotion, unfiltered and real. Speculation quickly followed. What led to this moment? Was it something that had been building behind the scenes? A misunderstanding, a personal struggle, or simply the overwhelming pressure that comes with their lives? While no one could say for certain, one thing was clear. This was a turning point. The way Jungkook spoke, the way he cried, and the way he held on to Taehyung suggested something deeply personal. And Taehyung's response, though unexpected, added another layer to the story. It showed that emotions don't always align perfectly in timing, and that even the closest bonds can have moments of complexity. As clips of the moment spread, fans began analyzing every detail. The way Jungkook's voice cracked, the way Taehyung's eyes shifted, the subtle changes in their expressions. Nothing went unnoticed. Some saw it as a moment of reconciliation, others as a sign of vulnerability rarely shown in public. But regardless of interpretation, the emotional impact was undeniable. What made this moment even more powerful was its authenticity. In a world where so much is curated and controlled, this felt different. It wasn't about performance or image. It was about connection, emotion, and truth. And perhaps that's why it resonated so deeply. Because at its core, this wasn't just about two global stars. It was about two individuals navigating their emotions in front of millions, showing that even in the spotlight, they are human. They feel, they struggle, they hesitate, and they heal just like anyone else. As the moment came to an end, there was no dramatic conclusion, no clear resolution. But maybe that's what made it so real. Not every story has a perfect ending, and not every emotion needs to be fully explained. What remains is the impact. Fans are still talking about it, still trying to understand it, still feeling it. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway of all, that some moments aren't meant to be fully understood. They're meant to be felt. So what do you think really happened in that moment? Was it a long overdue release of emotions, or something deeper that we have yet to fully see? And what does Taehyung's unexpected response truly mean? One thing is certain. This is a moment that won't be forgotten anytime soon. And just when it seemed like the moment had already reached its emotional peak, something even more subtle, but arguably more powerful, began to unfold right in front of everyone watching. The embrace between Jungkook and Kim Taehyung did not break immediately. In fact, it lingered longer than anyone expected, stretching into a silence that felt heavier than any words that could have been spoken. It was within that silence that a deeper layer of emotion started to surface, one that wasn't loud but impossible to ignore. Jungkook's grip tightened slightly, as if he wasn't ready to let go just yet. There was a vulnerability in that hold, something almost fragile, like someone trying to anchor themselves in a moment of uncertainty. His shoulders, still trembling, told a story of emotions that hadn't fully settled. And for a brief second, it felt as though he was silently asking for something. Understanding, reassurance, or perhaps forgiveness. Taehyung, on the other hand, seemed to be processing everything in real time. His initial stillness had already sparked countless interpretations, but what happened next added even more depth to the moment. Slowly, almost cautiously, Taehyung's hand moved again. Not away but closer. This time it wasn't just a light gesture. His hand pressed more firmly against Jungkook's back, and there was a subtle shift in his posture that suggested something had changed internally. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't sudden. But it was there. And that quiet change spoke volumes. Those watching closely noticed the way Taehyung's expression softened. The tension that had been visible in his face began to ease, replaced by something more complex. Something that looked like a mixture of acceptance and emotional restraint. It was as if he had reached a decision in that moment, one that didn't need to be spoken out loud. But the biggest twist was yet to come. Just as it seemed like the moment would end in silence, Taehyung finally spoke. His voice, low and steady, contrasted sharply with the emotional intensity that had filled the air just moments before. And yet, there was something in his tone, something subtle, that made every word feel significant. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush. Instead, he spoke in a way that made it clear he had chosen his words carefully. No one expected what he said next. It wasn't a dramatic confession. It wasn't an emotional outburst. In fact, it was surprisingly simple. And perhaps that's exactly why it hit so hard. Because sometimes the simplest words carry the deepest meaning. Jungkook's reaction to Taehyung's words was immediate. His grip loosened slightly, but he didn't pull away. Instead, he lowered his head, as if absorbing every syllable, every emotion behind those words. The tears didn't stop, but something about them changed. They no longer felt like an overwhelming release. They felt quieter, more controlled, like a storm that had begun to settle. Fans watching this unfold could feel the shift. Social media, which had already been flooded with emotional reactions, exploded even further. Clips of the moment were replayed again and again, with fans dissecting every second, every expression, every pause. Some described it as heartbreaking, others as healing. Many admitted they couldn't stop crying, even after watching it multiple times. And yet, despite all the analysis, one thing remained unclear. What exactly had led to this moment? Theories began to circulate almost instantly. Some believed it was the result of accumulated pressure, the kind that builds silently over time. Others speculated about a deeper, more personal story, one that had remained hidden from the public eye until now. There were even those who suggested that this moment was not about a single event, but rather a culmination of countless unspoken feelings. But perhaps the most compelling aspect of this situation wasn't the cause, it was the authenticity. Because nothing about this moment felt staged. There were no dramatic camera angles, no scripted dialogue, no attempt to control the narrative. What people saw was real, and that reality made it impossible to look away. As Jungkook finally began to pull back slightly, there was a hesitation in his movement. It was as if he wasn't entirely sure if the moment was truly over. And in that hesitation, Taehyung did something that no one expected. He reached out again. Not to stop Jungkook, not to pull him back into the embrace, but simply to touch his arm. It was a small gesture, almost easy to miss, but it carried a weight that words couldn't fully capture. It was reassurance, acknowledgement, and connection all in one. That single touch became one of the most talked about details among fans, because it changed everything. It showed that while Taehyung's initial response may have seemed distant or delayed, it wasn't a rejection. It was a process, a moment of understanding that took time to surface. And when it did, it revealed a depth of emotion that was just as powerful as Jungkook's initial vulnerability. The aftermath of the moment was just as intense as the moment itself. Fans across the world continued to share their reactions, many expressing how deeply they were affected. Some described it as one of the most genuine interactions they had ever witnessed. Others admitted that it made them reflect on their own relationships, their own unspoken emotions. Because in the end, that's what made this moment so impactful. It wasn't just about what happened between Jungkook and Taehyung. It was about what it represented. The idea that even in the closest relationships, there are moments of hesitation, moments of silence, moments where emotions don't align perfectly in time. And yet, those moments don't diminish the connection, they reveal it. As the scene faded and the two moved forward, there was no clear resolution, no definitive explanation. But maybe that was never the point. Maybe the point was the moment itself. A moment of vulnerability, a moment of hesitation, a moment of unexpected response, and a moment that left millions of people around the world asking the same question. What really lies beneath the surface of what we think we understand? Because if this moment proved anything, it's that the truth is often more complex and more emotional than it appears. And just when it felt like the emotional intensity had finally begun to settle, a new layer of tension quietly emerged. One that didn't rely on tears or words, but on something far more subtle: distance. After that brief touch on the arm, after that almost imperceptible reassurance from Kim Taehyung, there was a pause. Not the heavy silence from before, but something different, something quieter, almost uncertain. It was the kind of pause that leaves people wondering whether everything that needed to be said had truly been expressed, or if something still remained unspoken. Jungkook slowly stepped back, just enough to create a small gap between them. It wasn't a rejection, but it wasn't the same closeness from moments before either. His eyes, still slightly red, avoided direct contact for a second longer than usual. And that small detail, so easy to overlook, became one of the most discussed aspects of the entire moment. Because fans noticed. They noticed the hesitation. They noticed the way Jungkook seemed to collect himself, as if trying to regain control over emotions that had spilled out so unexpectedly. But more importantly, they noticed Taehyung watching him, not with confusion, not with distance, but with a kind of quiet awareness. It was as if Taehyung understood something that no one else fully could.